Hello, my name is Dwayne Kimball, owner and founder of KMD 89 VA Claims Consulting, Leave No Vet Behind, and also I'm a United States Army veteran. Today I'm bringing you another educational video as it pertains to the VA disability compensation claims process. So today I'm going to be discussing the Department of Veterans Affairs National Call Center. There's a national call center where you can call and get certain information, okay? But what I'm going to be discussing today is what is some of the information, that you can obtain, and what is some of the information you can't obtain when you call this number. Towards the end of this video, I'm going to share some of my personal experiences when I call the VA's National Call Center. But before we get into today's video, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and don't forget to share this video with your fellow veterans. Also, you can follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So today's video, the Department of Veterans Affairs National Call Center, what is some information you can get and what is some information you can't get. Now, again, notice I said some. I just came up with a list of some things that I've heard veterans obtain and things I've heard veterans where they couldn't obtain, okay? So I'm going to share that with you today. But a lot of veterans think when they call the National Call Center, okay, when they call 800-827-1000, that's the VA's National Call Center number, 800-827-1000. When they call this number, they make the mistake of thinking, I'm going to find out all this information about my claim. And that is not always true. The individuals that work at the National Call Center, they're not raters. They're not RVSRs. They are not decision review officers working on your HALA review. They are just representatives that can give you some very basic information, okay? So I'm going to share with you some of the things. Let's go over the cons, some of the things that you can't obtain, okay? The first one, when I send the veteran, your VA claims folder, okay? You have to submit that in writing for your request. It doesn't have to be on a specific document. A lot of people say, oh, it has to be on this form or that form. It doesn't. In the description section of this video, and I always tell people, go to the description section of all my videos. I provide a lot of information. In the description section of this video, when you click that show more button, you scroll down and I list the claim form, not the claim form, I list the VA form that I use. I provide the link, the verbiage that I put on that form, and where you can direct upload it, fax it, and mail it, okay? It's in the description section of how I did it, okay? Now, there's no right or wrong way. There's just the way that I did it. So when you call the National Call Center, you're not going to be able to request it over the phone. They're going to tell you have to submit in writing a FOIA request, okay? Another question that veterans ask, when will my claim be finished? Whether it's an appeal, remand, or whatever. They can't tell you that. They're not adjudicators, okay? They don't adjudicate your claim, meaning they're not going to prepare the rating decision. They're not the ones doing the development. They're not the ones doing the research of your claims file, okay? Now, the standard answer that they may tell you is claims are worked in the order received. And that's true, okay? Claims are worked in the order that they were received. Everybody's claim is different. Everybody's sending in different information, different locations. Regional office move faster than others. So you may be talking to someone at the National Call Center in Phoenix, Arizona, and your claim is being worked or adjudicated in Columbia, South Carolina. Okay, so that person in Arizona is not going to know what the individuals are doing in South Carolina. Now, they can look in the system and just some basic things, but they don't know when that person in South Carolina is going to adjudicate that claim, or any other regional office for that matter, okay? If your DBQ and or nexus statement is actionable or sufficient. And again, the individuals at the call center are not adjudicators. They're not trained to know, hey, this DBQ is filled out correctly, or this nexus statement is filled out correctly. Now, what they can tell you, if it has been received, okay? They can tell you that because in the system, they can look in the system that has all your information and see, yep, we received a DBQ nexus statement on this date. Yep, it's in your claims folder, okay? What does any particular regulation mean? Now, when you call, they're going to verify that it's you. Okay, they're not trained to be on the phone 30 or 40 minutes listening to your story about what happened in the military. Okay, they can jot that information down. You called in today and da-da-da, right? But any particular regulation. Now, there are some regulations that I remember because I came across them very often. One of them is 38 CFR 3.309, subpart A and subpart E. 1 year presumptives and Agent Orange presumptives. That's right off the top of my head. I remember those because I would see them all the time. Now, it's a call center. They're not going to have time to go to the 38 CFR or the M21 reference and look this up. You may have some that are more experienced than others that, throughout their roles and responsibilities in that particular position, they may have memorized some. But as it pertains to your claim, they're not going to spend 30, 40 minutes on the phone going and looking at every link to each document, piece of evidence in your claims file, and then going to 38 CFR and the M21 and say, okay, I think this may be pertinent, that may be pertinent. They're not going to be on the phone with you for that extended period of time. Okay, so they may or may not know the regulation, or even if you tell them the regulation. It's some regulations that veterans tell me, and I have to go look it up because there's hundreds of regulations and nobody knows them all verbatim. Okay, but a lot of people at the VA know where to go and find that information. But again, it's time consuming, and they're not on the phone that long to do that extensive research. Okay, sometimes more confusing after the call than before you call, just because it's going to depend on who you get. You may get someone that's an advocate for veterans that's going to take the time to listen to what you have to say and make sure they document the conversation correctly. And then you may get someone that's not an advocate, okay? And just want to get you off the phone as soon as possible. It happens, okay? So if it does, you can always call back and you probably get somebody else. And that time around, you may get someone that is an advocate. But again, when you call in, short, direct, and to the point. If you're saying, oh, let me just tell you my story. That could be a 5-minute story. They got hundreds of other vets calling in right behind you. So one thing that I learned, short, direct, and to the point. But make sure you know why you're calling, okay? So some of the pros, some of the things that you can obtain when you call this number. Now, again, I know I'm going to get comments, well, I called in and I got this. I called in and I didn't get this. I'm only talking about a few. I'm pretty sure there's a lot more out there, but I'm only talking about a few, all right? So some of the things that you can obtain when you call this number. You can obtain a disability breakdown letter, and you can request it by email. So how do you do that? In the description section of this video, I outline what I did when I called the 800 number, exactly what I said, okay? I list it in the description section. Now, a lot of people say, well, what is a disability breakdown letter? I'll link the video that I did explaining what it is. It's some good information, and you can request it by mail, but it's easier to do it when you call the 800 number, and they can email it to you if you request it, okay? Is your claim open or closed? They can tell you, yep, you have an open claim or your claim has been closed out. Now, a lot of veterans may say, well, what was the decision? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell you, you'll be notified by mail of that decision. But going back to number 1, disability breakdown letter to include the diagnostic codes. So if you If they tell you that, you can turn around and request that letter. And if you're granted service connection, guess what? It's going to be on that letter. All right. So if they say, hey, your claim is closed out, you should hear something in the next few days or whatever, then you can turn around and ask them for that disability breakdown letter to include the diagnostic codes. You already know what you claimed. So if it's on that letter, they're going to tell you the percentage, the diagnosis, the condition they service connect you for, and the 4-digit diagnostic code. And you can go to their website through eBenefits, and it'll click on the disabilities link, and it'll tell you if you're service connected or not service connected. Okay, so there's 2 different ways that you can find out before you get notified in the mail. All right. How many dependents that are on your award? So if you call in, you can ask them. If you have multiple dependents, they can verify, hey, you have X amount of dependents on your award. Now, why is that key? Because at a certain age, they're going to drop off. When you get that notification letter along with that rating decision, which a lot of veterans, they don't read the notification letter. There's a lot of good information in that letter. In that letter, if you have dependents, it'll tell you if they added them, and it'll give you the month, date, and year that they are due to drop off. So I always encourage individuals, make sure when you get that packet in the mail, you read it from the beginning to the end. I'm going to link another video that I did showing veterans the difference between the notification letter and the rating decision. Okay, so your 2 videos, one is how to get the information goes in the disability breakdown letter, and the difference between the rating decision and notification letter. Has a 2507 medical request been sent for a CMP exam? So I'm pretty sure a lot of you asking, what's the 2507 medical request? What that is, when you file a claim and the VA decides that you need a compensation and pension exam for whatever reason, okay, I'm not going to get into the reasons, they send a request either to the VA CMP office or to QTC LHI VES services. That request is called a 2507 medical request, okay? And it goes to whatever agency and says, hey, the veteran's claiming X, Y, and Z, please do an exam, and then in there it'll state we need a medical opinion as well, if a medical opinion is needed, all right? Which regional office has jurisdiction over my claim? They can tell you that as long as that claim, your claim, has been assigned to a regional office, okay? Now, some people may say, well, why is that really important? Well, because if you ever talk to someone on the phone and they're calling you about your claim, some of the questions you want to ask, what's your name, what's your job title, which regional office do you work out of, okay? Because if you live in that state and you just so happen to go to that regional office to public contact, you know, hey, my claim is being worked here, all right? Some reps will send you your most recent rating decision. Now, last year, I received an email, I think I want to say it was like right after Thanksgiving, the 1st of December, notifying me that the VA was behind in mailing out documents. And in that email, it stated from July 2021 to December 2021. So right before the end of the year, they sent it out. I'm like, well, why didn't they send this out earlier? So veterans could call in, and I even had some clients do this during that time and say, hey, I didn't receive my claim has been closed. I haven't received my rating decision. It's been more than 10 days. Can you email it to me? A lot of representatives did that, okay? And I've even heard some veterans saying, hey, I need my rating code sheet, and they've received that as well, okay? But I've had some other clients and talked to some other veterans where they were told, no, we can't send it to you. So it's a lot of inconsistency, but it depends on which VA employee you get when you call, okay? And lastly, a COD letter. A COD letter stands for a character of discharge. So when you have a certain type of discharge, under honorable, other than honorable, they have to do a character of discharge, okay? And they'll send that letter out, and that letter is basically telling you either you're a bar or you're entitled to VA compensation, all right? So veterans out there with a certain character discharge other than an honorable, I think other than general or stuff like that, there's certain ones that they have to do a character discharge. So veterans have called in and actually had that document emailed to them. Okay, so just to wrap up, I want to talk about what were some of my experiences when I called VA's National Call Center. So when I was an employee before I retired, all VA employees are what they call sensitive 7. So only certain individuals can see your claim, all right? And only certain individuals, in that case, so when you call in, there's only certain individuals that have access to view my claim as a VA employee to give information, okay? So whenever I would call in, initially I was kind of green at this and was going back and forth with a couple of employees. But throughout my VA career, I learned short, direct, to the point, okay? So when I call in, they had to verify it was me, and then they send me over to somebody that says, hey, we can have access to your file. And I would always say, hey, can you look in VBMS? That's the system, the electronic system where all your electronic claims file is being held. I need you to tell me, has an exam been requested? Can you look under the deferral tab and tell me if the rater deferred anything? Can you go in the notes section and tell me if there's any notes? And depending on what the response was, I'm like, okay, well, on the VA Form 21-0820, can you note this? Because before my claim is adjudicated, I want the rater to be aware. In one case, I want the rater to be aware that I have an actionable and sufficient DBQ, okay? So it's been, I think I had a couple of times where it was kind of a rough conversation, but the most part, I always had some good VA employees that I spoke with, some that were really energetic advocates, but I had a couple that I felt that weren't advocates for veterans, okay? So with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and do not forget to share this video with your fellow veterans. If I don't see you in my next education video, I hope to see you in my bi-weekly Q&A session or my monthly roundtable. Thank you.